give you a brief background on the May mobilization campaign, it's a nationwide effort from coast to coast involving thousands of law enforcement agencies that are funded principally to work overtime hours by the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. Locally, we have over 50 agencies in the state of Wyoming that work these grants and go out and supplement their patrols with extra officers, troopers, and deputies to go out and enforce impaired driving and occupant protection laws. But I want to clarify that this May mobilization is just not simply a one-time effort that takes place during one of the busiest travel days or weekends. That these officers, troopers, and deputies are out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week doing the work that needs to be done on the roads and highways of this state, enforcing the seatbelt law and taking impaired drivers off our roadway. With that being said, I want to give a brief background of where we're at currently in the state of Wyoming. Relative to last year, we have 15 fatalities currently in the state, and that's not any good news to give. But the worst news is this time last year we were at 46. So we've seen quite a reduction in the number of fatalities this year. That's still 15 lives lost. It's still too many. Of those 15, we know that 12 of those deaths were in occupants that were unrestrained. We know that 10 of them were totally ejected from their vehicles and died at the scene. This is simply something that can be prevented. And what we're here to do today with the help of the media is get this message out beforehand that we want people to buckle up. We need to save these lives. These injuries and deaths are completely preventable. I'd like to introduce now the Mayor of Casper, Mr. Daniel Sandoval, who will read a proclamation. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Weight times velocity. Those are the forces in a crash. And it seems rather abstract, but your 4,000 pound vehicle, it can tumble like a toy. I've seen it. Decades past right here at Center and First Street, cars tumbled. And as was mentioned already, it's preventable. 3 to 4 seconds to buckle your seatbelt. That's all it takes to make the difference between walking away from a crash or being carried away. 3 to 4 seconds of your time. And considering the stakes are life and death, it only makes sense that maybe law enforcement gets a little heavy-handed in reminding us it is the law. Proclamation. Whereas the safety and security of the citizens of the city of Casper and the surrounding areas are vitally important, and whereas a large percentage of our citizenry regularly drive or ride in motor vehicles on our roadways, and whereas the use of seatbelts in passenger vehicles saved an estimated 12,802 lives in 2014, regular seatbelt use is the single most effective way to reduce fatalities in motor vehicle crashes. And whereas the use of seatbelts is supported by the laws of the city of Casper and the state of Wyoming, whereas May 23rd through June 5th, 2016 has been selected as the National Click It or Ticket Mobilization Enforcement Period. Across the country, law enforcement officers will actively be participating in the mobilization to ensure all motor vehicle occupants are buckled up day and night to reduce the risk of injury and death caused in traffic crashes. And whereas increased enforcement of seatbelt laws coupled with publicity has proven to be an effective method to increase seatbelt use rates and decrease fatal crashes. Now therefore, I, Daniel Sandoval, Mayor of the City of Casper, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim May 23rd to June 5th, 2016 as the Click It or Ticket Mobilization Enforcement Period in Casper, and I urge all citizens to always wear seatbelts when driving or riding on our roadways. I have hereto affixed my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Casper to be affixed this day, 17th of May, 2016. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Sandoval. And now Dr. Darren Bowe, the Director for Trauma at the Wyoming Medical Center.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. What I'd say is, as a trauma surgeon, I have the opportunity to see and treat patients involved in motor vehicle crashes. And oftentimes the difference between a patient being seen and going home that same day or the following day, or spending weeks to months in the ICU and in the recovery process, the biggest difference can be a seatbelt. To put it in perspective, the biggest cause of mortality and injury in patients from age 1 to 45 is trauma. And the most common cause of trauma in that population is a motor vehicle crash. I'd like to just dispel 3 big myths. One, that just because we're in a rural area, we don't see people who die in motor vehicle crashes. In fact, if you look across the country, almost double the number of motor vehicle fatalities occur in rural areas as compared to urban areas. Second, you're not protected just simply because you're in a large vehicle, a truck. We see more people die in trucks as compared to cars in motor vehicle crashes. And third, you're not protected based on position in the car. If you're in the back seat, you should still wear a seatbelt. We see more people die in the rear of a vehicle if they're not wearing a seatbelt as they do in the front. So with that, I urge you all to take the 3 seconds to wear a seatbelt. It'll protect you and your families from potential injury and death.
Thank you, Dr. Bowe. And now Chief Jim Wetzel of the Casper Police Department.
Pete, thank you. John, thank you for helping set this up, and for the surrounding agencies, Sheriff's Office and Highway Patrol for being here. Mayor, thank you for the proclamation, and Doctor, for your words on giving the requisite visibility to this event. And thank you, media, for showing up and giving publicity to this important issue. Pete already covered some of the stats that are out there, but there's a few more. One is the national seatbelt usage rate is at 87%. And here in Wyoming, we're actually a little bit below that. We're at 79.8%. And we need to get that usage rate higher. And we found that May is the best time to do this as we get into the travel season, the summer travel season, where people and families are out getting in their vehicles and driving to go enjoy their summer and their vacation, wherever that may be. So we've chosen this time to really try to give publicity to this issue. And I want to make it clear, we're going to be out during, as Pete said, this is an ongoing event, and we're going to be out during that period of May 23rd through the 5th of June. And we're going to be doing our normal traffic enforcement that we do, but during this period, there's going to be an increased focus and enforcement, a no-tolerance enforcement on seatbelt usage when we come across folks that are not wearing their seatbelts. Seatbelt is not a primary offense, meaning we can't identify somebody not wearing a seatbelt and have that be the sole means for the stop. So that's important to note. When we identify a seatbelt as not being used in conjunction with a primary offense, not using a turn signal, speeding, those normal traffic law offenses that we come across, we will be paying attention to the seatbelt usage as we always do, but we'll be taking a no-tolerance approach during this time. And the idea is not to go out there and identify or try to write as many citations as we can. It's to go out there and save lives and really punctuate the education with the public, with drivers, with passengers as to the criticality of that seatbelt usage. So we'll be out in force in and around Casper with all our partner agencies on that front. Expect to see them. Expect to be educated on seatbelt use during the stop. Even if you are wearing it, and you get the positive thumbs up for the officer, and thanking you and appreciating you for taking the time to click that seatbelt in before you take off down the road. So with that said, again, thank you all for setting this up. I want to thank the media, can't thank them enough for giving the requisite publicity to this event, and turn it back over to you, Pete.